Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Number to call if you'd like to join the conversation is 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Beginning of the week, we'll talk about anything that's been in the news over the course of the last couple of days, and especially the things that we have talked about here today. Winning the war on the issue of the sanctity of human life, which we are. Even Democrats are coming across the divide, understanding the sanctity of human life. Conceived in rape is not a justification for abortion. We covered that by talking about this beauty queen, Miss Pennsylvania, and how her life would have been snuffed out before she ever took a first breath if her mother believed that rape was a justifiable excuse for abortion. And again, as we've said before, in America, this in the biblical worldview, you do not punish children for the sins of their fathers, and especially you do not execute children for the sins of their fathers. Then we talked about the fact that we are going to win this war for the definition of marriage. Do not get discouraged. Do not be downhearted. We are going to win that war for one simple reason. We're right. We are on the side of truth. We're on the side of angels. We're on the side of God's word, and we are going to win that battle in the end for the hearts and minds of the American people. Got an interesting story here. And I don't know, Jeff, Rob, Wes, have you guys ever had cats as like pets?
Rob has.
Rob, have you ever had a?
Yeah. No, Wesley hasn't, and I haven't.
Okay, so Jeff, you haven't, and Wesley haven't.
No.
You have no idea what you have missed. But Rob, so
I'd like to.
So Rob, you've had a cat. Did you ever have a mean cat? I mean, like just a really mean cat.
Yeah, I had one mean cat that just didn't like anybody.
Didn't like anybody. So what did you do with the cat?
It just sort of lived on its own and just sort of hung out.
So it kind of ignored you, and you ignored it, and everybody lived happily ever after.
Everybody lived happily. It killed its mice and went about its business.
Well, I got this story here from Portland, Oregon. We had a cat that wasn't really mean. He was just kind of ornery, and it was always trying to get out of the house. It was a house cat. We'd had a couple of cats run over by cars, and so Debbie decided to make them house cats. But this one cat, in fact, the name of the cat was Twit. We just called it Twit because that's the kind of cat. She was always making trouble and always wanted to make a break for the outside. Every time he went to the door, man, she'd race her to try to make a break for the outside, try to make a jailbreak. But she wasn't really a mean cat. She wasn't sociable, but she wasn't mean. Well, here's a story out of Portland, Oregon. This is amazing to me. Portland police had to be called in to subdue a 22-pound house cat that trapped its owners inside their bedroom. So this cat, 22 pounds, I can't imagine a cat that size, 22 pounds. It actually scratched the baby, so they hid in the bedroom, locked the door, and called 911 to protect themselves from a 22-pound house cat. The 911 operator apparently could hear the cat screeching in the background as the couple awaited help. Officers used a dog snare to capture the cat, placed it in a crate. It says here the cat has a history of violence. So I guess you go to the, I don't know, history of violence. I mean, do they have like a database where you can go and look up this cat's record, how many 911 calls? I don't know. It says it has a history of violence. And here's the weird thing. The cat is remaining with its owner. So apparently, even though the cat scratched the baby, they're going to keep it in the house. Now, we are always told, shifting gears here, we're always told how smart liberals are. We're always told how smart they are. Remember President Obama, we played that soundbite last week, could not even spell the word respect, and he was trying. He was doing his best. He was pondering. He was concentrating. He was thinking, could not spell the word respect. Now, this next soundbite, it's a montage. This is clip number 2, Rob. This is a montage, first of all, of Barack Obama, and then the second half is going to be a montage of Joe Biden. Now, here's what you got to understand about the context. When President Obama is speaking, he's speaking to students who are standing up because there are no chairs in the room. That's the first thing you got to understand about the first soundbite, President Obama talking to these students. The second one is Joe Biden talking to a guy that's in a wheelchair, disabled. The only way he can get around is in a wheelchair. So let's listen to this montage of these two sound bites. The smartest people, ladies and gentlemen, the smartest people in the room.
We're making progress. We're making progress. Yeah, you guys, by the way, you can all sit down. I didn't realize everybody was still standing up. Sit down. Take a load off. You guys can't sit down, though, because you don't have chairs. You guys stay straight. Although, bend your knees so you don't faint.
Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck. Thank you, pal. You can tell I'm new. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, man. So that's Joe Biden. Stand up, Chuck. Come on, Chuck, stand up. How come you're not standing up? Oh, yeah. Well, because you're in a wheelchair. President Obama telling folks to sit down when they got no chairs to sit on. And ladies and gentlemen, we're always told that we're dumb. We are the ignorant hillbilly rednecks that don't know our left ear from our elbow. And these are the smartest people in the room. They are so smart. They are so enlightened. They're so advanced intellectually and mentally and educationally that they have the right to tell us how to live our lives because we are not smart enough to manage the affairs of our own lives. Now, I'll give you another one. Here is Cory Booker. This is the new senator from the state of New Jersey. And again, now you're listening here to somebody who fancies himself one of the smartest people in the room. Let's listen. Okay, clip 3. Sorry, Rob, this is clip 3. This is Cory Booker, the new senator from New Jersey. Again, fancies himself as one of the smartest people in the room, way smarter than you, way smarter than me, and that's why he gets the right to decide how our lives are run.
You spoke eloquently to me, not in the chamber, about some incredible stories about Hawaii and the impact of severe weather change. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing that right now. I just do want to say that right after I turned 17 and got my New Jersey driver's license, one of the earliest places I drove was a trip, the only trip I've ever taken, was to Hawaii, and I found it to be an extraordinary state, except for
you didn't drive to Hawaii.
I did. I did not drive to Hawaii. Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that for the congressional record. But I do want to say that Hawaii was a paradise, except for it lacked some fundamental things.
Like a highway from the mainland, for instance. So that's Cory Booker saying, man, one of my fondest memories of my teenage years is getting my driver's license. And I'm telling you, the first thing I did when I got my driver's license is I drove that car to Hawaii. Hawaii is a great state. And the Democrat guy says, excuse me, Senator Booker, but you didn't drive to, oh, yeah, silly me. So, and you think about, and we had that, we had the story, these left-wingers now talking about how they do not think President Obama is nearly as smart as everybody else does. And I've got a story here we'll look at in a minute. I got to find that thing. But it's a story written by a hardcore leftist, and he refers to President Obama as a cipher. That's the word that he uses in the interview. It's with Salon magazine, I think, which is hardcore left-leaning website, and he refers to President Obama as a cipher. And, it was Bobby Jindal said, hey, maybe President Obama is overrated. Maybe he should get a refund from Harvard Law School because I don't think he learned anything in 3 years. And Bobby Jindal saying we're always told about how smart this guy is, and yet maybe it's time to revisit that assumption. And Thomas Sowell was the one that made that observation that people can be smart. I mean, they can be naturally gifted, and I think President Obama is a very bright guy. They can be educated. They can have degrees that they can get from prestigious institutions, but they can be ignorant of basic fundamentals, and I think maybe that's what we are dealing with. One story, then we'll grab a phone call. 888-589-8840 is the number. I don't know if I gave the number out, but 888-589-8840 is the number to call if you would like to join the program, 888-589-8840. And maybe you've got an opinion about this whole business of liberals thinking that they are so much smarter than the rest of us. This is what Thomas Sowell referred to as the vision of the anointed. That's how he described it. These people believe that they are the anointed ones. They are a superior breed of humanity. They're smarter than us, and they're the ones that are anointed to lead our culture. And Sowell made the point is they are so convinced of their own rightness, so convinced of their own superiority that it is impossible to educate them. It's impossible to inform them because their minds are made up, and it simply does not matter how many facts are contrary to the view that they have of things, because they believe they're the anointed ones just because they think it and because they have friends who reinforce that they believe that they are right. So love to know what you think about that whole idea. Colorado's doing this thing with marijuana. They've legalized it. Their projections for revenue, by the way, are coming way short of what they had anticipated. Here's a story from Breitbart. The Governor Hickenlooper's budget office estimated that recreational pot shop sales would approach $1 billion in the first fiscal year, $1 billion in tax revenues. But in January of 2014, first month that was legal, Colorado brought in $2 million. Now, that's a lot of money. Don't misunderstand me. But you multiply that by 12, that's $24 million. That's way short of $1 billion by some kind of X factor of a lot. So they're not generating as much in tax revenue as they anticipated. So that's going to be interesting to see because they're counting on that. They're spending that money. And one of the problems, and people have talked about this in Colorado, one of the problems with counting on marijuana sales for tax revenue is that is a cash and carry business. So banks will not establish bank accounts for pot dealers because it's against federal law, and they could be in jeopardy being prosecuted for laundering drug money. So the banks, even though Eric Holder said, look, it's okay, we're not going to prosecute you, they're still reluctant to do it because they know they're breaking the law. No matter what Eric Holder says, they're in violation of federal law. They won't do it. So it's all cash. So you got to depend on pot dealers to be honest with how much money they bring in, and honest with them in paying their taxes ain't going to happen. Focal Point AFR Talk, back with your calls. Stay with us.